You, yes, you, the viewers. I want your opinions on what choice you believe I should repaint this model. If you're new to the channel or you haven't already, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, click on the bell icon, select all, and you'll be notified every time we upload new content. So this is the O gauge diesel shunter in question. It's an 040. It's an old Lima made model. Now I picked this up recently along with some other O gauge items from Durham Trains of Stanley. I wasn't looking for any O gauge, they just happened to be there. They were all at a very good price, so I picked them up. Not wanting to jump headfirst into O gauge, and it's a very expensive hobby to be in. I'm certainly not turning to the dark side of the hobby and jumping into O gauge. I remember these models from when I was younger. I never actually had any of them, but I did have some of the old Triang Rovex big train O gauge items. So the reason I picked up this diesel shunter and some other items in O gauge was they were at a very reasonable price and I could see the potential in them. There was definitely a project there. So we'll take a quick look at the model, how it is now. It's had some mods done to it by the previous owner. Let's have a quick look. So you've got a basic 040 chassis, one piece moulding for the whole of the cab on top of that chassis. It has basic windows. I don't know if it actually conforms to any actual outline of diesel locomotive, maybe English, not too sure. It does appear that when new they had the British Rail arrows on and this number of D2852. I've seen quite a number of them on the internet in various images. So someone has tried to do bits and pieces with this model and they've put some paint on some of the grills. It's been painted on the top grill, which seems to have filled up a lot of the actual grill holes, and the same on the front, so it's going to need some work there, and appears to have had some paint placed on the top. There has been some buffers, metal ones, actually placed onto this model. Unfortunately, the only buffer itself that's intact is this one here. Partial parts of the buffers are still present next to that one and at the front, so we're going to look into seeing if we can replace those with either all new units or parts of units in order to make it up. It has had free-link couplings fitted to it and they are sprung on both sides. You can see here a lot better on this one, but they are present free-link couplings. It has moulded detail for lamps, although no actual lamps. There's a certain amount of moulded handrails. The glazing is just plastic on the other side glued up against it. There's some rivet detail in the plastic moulding. Same on the sides, we've got moulded detail to give the impression of handrails, as well as the doorways, things like that, steps and window frames, and a gutter running along the top. Over the engine area we've got moulded detail to give the impression of panels that could be opened up, and grills and makers marks, plates, that sort of thing, and handrail running along the side, which is, as I said, moulded. You come along to the front and you can see other moulded details of cabinets, looks like a toolbox cabinet, that sort of thing. On the top we've got an exhaust port, various bits and pieces on the roof that are moulded in to give the impression of other detail. At the front we've got two mouldings that look like they would give the impression of lights, so it's not hugely covered in detail. It's not a more modern type of O gauge model. I'm just going to take the actual body shell off from the chassis. That just unclips off and you can see inside it's just very basic, and you can see where those free-link couplings have been added by a previous owner, and you can see in here where the buffers would come through, and this one that's still intact, you can see the little nut and bolt system that's holding it in place. So I think we'll be able to get some more of those. We'll put that to one side, and you can see the gubbins, as you could call it, for the chassis. So the chassis has some moulded detail running along it in the lines of axle boxes, springs, some moulded pipe work, air tanks, compressor type things, all that sort, but it's pretty much mirrored on the opposite side. It has got a checker plate type feel to these running boards running along here. Now inside of the chassis there are two really quite substantial weights, and yes, if you've never seen inside one of these before, this is basically a giant Ringfield motor. You can see all of the gearing running along to this side of the set of wheels. Pretty much just is a giant Ringfield motor, which becomes more apparent when you look from this side. At the moment I'm in two minds as to whether or not I'm going to replace this. There is a CD motor conversion with 3D printed parts, so I might be tempted to do that. If this runs reliably, then I may just leave it the way it is. But let's look at some of the mods that I think I'm going to have planned for this model. So first of all, we may have a motor change unsure about that at the moment, but we may have a motor change. I definitely think the detail needs to be picked out in various different paints along the chassis itself, but let's just put that to one side. Now for the body, I want to try and replace the buffers that are missing on here, if not buy a full set of 4 so that they all match, and we can get them on. I definitely think it looks better with the buffers. I'm not too sure whether they did or didn't have buffers when they were new, but I definitely think it looks better with these buffers. We're going to maintain the 3-link coupling that's been fitted here, but I do actually have some of the huge Buckeye couplings that were originally on this model. I actually have a massive pack of them which I picked up many years ago when visiting the Tamfield Railway. So we're going to maintain the 3-link couplings, and we may add or not add the large Buckeye coupling as well. As you can see from the moulding, there is the areas in which there would be the potential for lights. I have a feeling that what I might do here is actually drill these out and actually place LEDs in with whites and reds, with a similar idea for the front here, with these 2 mouldings fitting LEDs and giving us our whites and reds. I want to clean up these grills, strip out the paint from inside them so that we can detail it up and paint it up. There's the potential to put in a scratch built interior inside, just something basic to give the impression, and to add a driver. I'm tempted to fit some actual handrails with some brass rods, things like that, just little bits and pieces to add to the model, just to try and give it a bit more oomph. And obviously decals and things for, I don't know, overhead warnings, possibly that sort of thing. But that will really depend upon the next factor, which is you. Yes, you, the viewers. I'm not jumping into O-Gauge. I saw these all at a very reasonable price and thought it would be fun to have some and dip my toe into the O-Gauge hobby, so to speak. I did purchase some rolling stock while I was there, all second hand, and we'll bring that up in another video. Here's the proposition to you, the viewers. I want your opinions on what choice you believe I should repaint this model. I fully intend to repaint the model, so I figured I would give all of you the option to put your opinions in as to what colour and livery you think should be applied. So what I've done on the screen here is I've put some examples. These are not the final choices, they are simply some examples. And you'll see at the bottom there I've actually put other. Off the top of my head, you could have BR green, BR black, BR blue, NCB with whatever colour you think that would be right for that. Army green with the army decals on, or we could go for War Department green with War Department decals. Longmoor blue, possibly line it up and that sort of thing. We could just have a colour and we could have the Aidans Railways logo and multiple others. So you could have LMS black, LMS crimson, you could have various different things. And what I want to do is, because there's so many options that are out there, and to give you all the opportunity to have a good think about it, basically I'm going to leave this open until the 31st of December. That means there is, at the time of recording, well over a month for everyone to get their suggestions in. What I have done, however, is I have made it so that I would prefer there is only one suggestion in the comments section per YouTube account, rather than being bombarded with lots of different suggestions from single accounts. This way it gives you the opportunity to have a good think about it and put down what you believe you think I should repaint it in. I'll also run a poll when we get towards the end of the highest comments, and I'll put that in the community posts towards the end of December to try and finalise the livery and company that it'll be made into. It should go without saying, but anyone putting in a choice into the comments after the 31st of December 2021, they obviously won't be taken into consideration, but the video will still be online. After midnight on the 31st of December 2021, we will count up all of the suggestions, we'll print them all off, and then we'll get down to the nitty gritty of what was suggested more, what's viable, all that type of thing. What do we think that we can actually make a really good job of here? And the decision will be closed. The final decision, which will be final from Aidans Railways, will be announced in January of 2022, where work will then start on its full repaint. Up until that point, I will be doing work on the motor and checking its running ability and whether it's reliable with the current motor that's in there. If not, I will head into the modification process of fitting a different motor and 3D parts. In the meantime, I will start to strip down the body and start looking at various other details that could be added and modified before moving on to the paint process, which we can't get into until the beginning of January. as soon as that decision has been made for its livery, the relevant paints will be ordered and we will get to work straight away on doing that part of the project. So my request to you all watching this video is get into the comments. Let me know what livery you think this should be made up into. This could be a brilliant start to something else on Aidans Railways with O gauge. So I want to know what colour, what company and what period. So if you wanted to have BR and whatever colour, make sure you state early, late, modern logos. So that'll make a huge difference as to what transfers will be ordered to be fitted to it as well. So there you go, a Lima 040 O gauge shunter, which is going to be the focus of a full modification project here on Aidans Railways. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I shall see you again soon. Bye now.